And we're live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back for another stream. I hope you're all doing well. It's a rare Sunday deadline today. In fact, it's the first of 12 Saturdays without Premier League football this weekend. It is the last double game week of the season as well. So the last good opportunity to take a punt here or there, which we'll talk about lots in this stream. I think there are a few decent punts on the table for taking if we want them this game week. So thank you all for being here. Simon says Windows sound. I was hoping you guys could hear that. When we were doing the intro for the stream, I took a very last second screenshot because there was something I wanted to talk about on the stream regarding Aston Villa. So that's what that Windows sound was. Luckily, it wasn't the microphone unplugging or anything like that. As per usual, something normally goes wrong technically, but so far so good. Welcome to the stream, everyone. We've got 527 watching already. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you all being here. Danny C says, hi mate. Morning Danny, how you doing? Edan says, what to do with Salah? Yeah, so that's obviously the biggest talking point this week now. What to do with Salah? Obviously Salah went off injured in yesterday's FA Cup final. So big decisions to be made there. Maybe we'll just jump straight in and cover the quote from Klopp post-match because I think, based on his comments, it sounds like Salah's going to miss Gameweek 37. We'll just start with Man City first. Some good news for Laporte owners is that Laporte trained today. This was yesterday that Pep said this ahead of the West Ham game, which is going to be played today. So good news for Laporte owners. He's back. Yesterday, Havertz wasn't in the Chelsea squad. He was reportedly injured. So if you've got Havertz, I think he's an easy sell. Maybe you could look at someone like Zaha as a replacement. Maybe Coutinho, maybe Maddison. But yeah, it looks like he's one to sell now. But yeah, the big news is yesterday in the FA Cup final, Salah went off injured. And he's not the sort to go down unless he really is injured. And about half an hour into the game, he went off injured. But post-match, Klopp said, I think they're okay, but I don't think they'll be ready for Tuesday. So Van Dijk also went off later in the game. Not a bad substitution, by the way. Matip came on in his place. So it sounds like Salah and Van Dijk could miss Gameweek 37. So the question is what to do with Salah, and I think he's a definite sell. This is my team now, and as you can see, I already have sold Salah. I've brought in Son as my Salah replacement. I'm kind of, in a way, glad to finally have an excuse to get Son, because for those that haven't owned Son this season, it's been absolutely brutal in the last 6 or 7 game weeks, because Son's been absolutely flying. This run here, 2 goals, 1 goal, 1 assist, 3 goals, 2 goals, 1 assist, 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 assist. He's just been in unbelievable form. So yeah, I ended up getting rid of Salah last night for Son because their prices were going the opposite way. So it was a 0.2 swing. But I also had to get rid of a Spurs player because I was really tripled up. So what I've done is I've got rid of Kulusevski and I've brought Zaha in. And I also decided to bring in Cash, because if Trent or James don't play this game week, then I would have been down to 10 men. So that's why I did that. Morning, Vizito. How you doing? Stranger Man says, would it be mental to have Mane and Diaz in a free hit team? It wouldn't be mental, but I think just one is enough. I think there's probably enough double game week players and alternatives to have, like Son, Kane, out of the single game week players. And then you've got the likes of Richarlison, Zaha, Villa defenders, Cash, Digne. But yeah, the other quote I wanted to actually cover, and I totally forgot to include in the news roundup, was one from Gerrard. Watkins picked up an injury, and Gerrard said, Ollie hasn't trained yet since the game against Liverpool, but he's got a chance to be involved. We're hoping he's going to take part in the session. He got a knock on his ankle. I don't think it's too serious. I'm told by the doctor he'll be coming out tomorrow to try and train, so all being well, he'll be available. I think that Danny Ings starts both games in this double game week, so I think he's a standout pick for this game week. Before this game week, he was 0.1% owned in the top 10k, so I think he's a huge differential, Danny Ings, so I think he's one to consider, especially if you're on a free hit. Adamax says, morning Focal, I heard Kulu's injured, is that true? I haven't heard anything about an injury. There was a rumour going around that he had an illness, but I've not heard much in terms of any reliable sources, so I don't want to say whether there's anything to that or not. For me, I just had to get rid of a Spurs player to get Son because I was tripled up. Still got bloody Doherty in my team. Don't know how. Still got the Doherty hangover in my team. I've not had a chance to get rid of him because I've had more pressing transfers to make. So yeah, Doherty's probably going to survive for the rest of the season now. Achena says, Ings or Vardy on a free hit? I think I would have Ings, honestly. There's not much to separate them, but I think I'd have Ings. We'll keep an eye out for any leaks and whatnot pre-deadline. Sam Martin is normally the go-to guy for anything Leicester. So we'll check whether he tweets anything before the deadline. But yeah, as of this morning, he said his free hit team has Vardy and Maddison, but he's not had any news pre-deadline. Liam, thanks for the donation. He says, hi Oscar, thoughts on this free hit? I'm chasing a mini league. He's got Martinez, Matip, Mikalenko, Digne, Diaz, Son, Maddison, KDB, Zaha, Richarlison and Ings. I think I would get rid of Matip. You know, if you're chasing, then Matip's a pretty boring transfer. And I would say Liverpool could be missing a few defenders, so I don't think they'll be anywhere near full strength at the back. Maybe Tsimikas gets a game. Maybe Gomez also gets a game. Matip and Konate looks like it'll be the centre-back pairing because Van Dijk picked up an injury. So I'd get rid of Matip. Maybe you could go Matip and Martinez to Pickford and Cash, something like that. You know, that's chasing the upside more, if that makes sense. The rest is really good, to be honest with you. I think I like the Zaha pick. KDB makes a lot of sense. So does Son. Richarlison and Ings makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's a good draft. I think that's the only change I would make. Other than that, it looks good to go. Can't think of anything else to suggest there. It's a really, really strong draft. I posted a video yesterday on my free hit draft, and it's basically the same 11. But my draft had Salah before the Salah injury. So all I would do there in the draft I made was change Salah for KDB. Really nice draft. Andrea says, I've got Salah, Watkins and Ruben Diaz. Mo and Watkins for KDB and Ings seems like a decent option, but the person above me in my mini league has KDB. Should I still do it? I mean, it depends how much you're chasing by. I wouldn't not get KDB just because they've got them. Because, you know, I think the only standout Salah replacements are Son and KDB, so I think it has to be one of those two. And I assume you've got Son already. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one. I think if I had Watkins, I would be tempted to get rid of him for Ings, even though it feels very sideways. I wonder if Watkins misses the first game and starts the second, whereas perhaps Ings starts both, if I was to guess. FPL Villain on Twitter, I was looking at his tweets earlier, and he did a predicted lineup, and that's how he predicted it basically. He had Ings starting the first one, with Coutinho and Buendia behind, and then the second game he had Ings and Watkins up top, just with Coutinho behind. So I wouldn't be put off the KDB move just because they've got him, you know, otherwise you're just betting elsewhere for the sake of it. You know, and there's no reason why you can't make up those points elsewhere. FPL1 says, Morning Oscar, thoughts on Son and Zaha in for Mahrez and Salah, or KDB and James in for Salah and Laporte? Yeah, I would go for the Son and Zaha route. I think I rate that higher than KDB and James. Zaha's got the double. I think Zaha's actually second or third among all players for predicted points for the rest of the season. So I think Zaha's an excellent pick. I would definitely go Son and Zaha over KDB and James personally. You know, maybe there's a small chance that James doesn't start this one even. You know, he played 120 minutes last night. Jack Milner says, I'm on a free hit. Who to get premium at the back? You've got Cash and Digne. I mean, this week, I think you can afford not to go premium. Because the problem is, the premiums pretty much consist of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City. Liverpool and Chelsea played 120 minutes last night. So that really lessens the appeal of Trent, Robertson, James, Alonso. And in Man City, they're missing a lot of players in defence. West Ham yet to blank at home this season. So I think on a free hit, you can afford to completely avoid the premiums and just get players like Cash, Digne, you know, like Mikalenko, those sorts of players. Mikalenko, I think he's a really good one that you didn't mention there. Cash and Digne, great picks. Mikalenko's one to consider as well. Elliot says, Salah to Zaha and Pukki to Kane for a -4. Is it worth getting cash on Coutinho for a -8? And then who to bench of Alonso, Laporte, Saka and Mount? So Salah to Zaha, Pukki to Kane, I really like that. I think that's worth it. But in terms of getting cash and Coutinho for a -8, difficult one to justify that because you've got good defenders. I don't think I would do it. Presumably you'd have to sell Alonso or Laporte, and I'm just not sure if I would do it. If I was going to do a -8, I think I would sell Laporte for cash, and I think I would sell Saka or Mount. And in terms of who to bench, really difficult one as well. It's between, I'd say it's between Laporte and Mount. Mount obviously played 120 minutes last night, so maybe Mount just about edges it. Bench Mount. Jack Miles says, Focal, do you think Ramsey will play? If I was to guess, I would say he plays one, not both. Dyer says, isn't Coutinho a captaincy option? He definitely is. There's a lot of good options this week for captaincy. We'll have a look at the predicted points in a minute to see who's actually projected to score highest. But yeah, this week there's loads of great options. Richarlison, I think, is a good option. Zaha, Coutinho. You could even go for cash in defence. Nothing wrong with going with a single game maker like Son as well. Adam says, Vardy or Kane on a free hit. On a free hit, I'd go Vardy. Chase the upside of Vardy. But again, we'll have to see if we get any pre-deadline news or not, whether Vardy starts or not. Hopefully we get something. I will keep checking it in case we get any leaks or whatnot pre-deadline. Likewise Palace. But nothing yet. Yeah, on reflection, I think I would go Vardy over Kane on a free hit. Tatenda says, sorry Tatenda, didn't realise I missed that, apologies. He says, thanks for suggesting last week that I keep Foster overtaken a hit from Mendy. Wow, yeah, huge one. Foster got 14, Mendy got 7. I'm glad you kept him. It was one of those, like, Watford hadn't been great defensively, but it's rarely worth getting rid of a keeper in a double game week. I think it was for a hit as well, but yeah, I'm glad you kept him. Nice, 7 points gained that. Austin, thank you for renewing the membership for 4 months. He says, morning Oscar, bench Nketiah or Trent. Oh, that's really hard. I think I would bench Nketiah. The reason being is that when Gomez plays right back, I don't think any time this season we've seen Trent come off the bench for Gomez. So on the very off chance that Trent is benched, then I would say he doesn't play anyway, if that makes sense. So I think it would be that, because Trent does have much more upside than Nketiah, you would say. I think it's far likelier for Trent to get a clean sheet and an assist than for Nketiah to get 2 goals, for example. Yeah, thanks for renewing the membership for 4 months, Austin. If anyone's interested, link in the description. You get early access to my videos, and there's a private channel on the Discord where I give team feedback. That said, there's only one more game week after this one, so maybe not worth it. Good sales pitch, that. Anurag says, I have Digne, Mitchell, Trent, Robbo, Cancelo. I can only play 3. Who would you bench? Cancelo and Robbo. I would bench Robbo. Also punting on Vardy captain if we get news of him starting. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't hate Vardy captain if we get news that he starts, especially because it's Watford that the leak would be for, not Chelsea first, then Watford, if that makes sense. So I don't hate Vardy captain. I think it's a good differential. Extremely low ownership as well, so if it comes off, you're absolutely laughing. So you've got Digne, Mitchell, Trent, Robbo, Cancelo. You can only play 3, so obviously start Digne. I would start Trent. What's Mitchell's minutes like? Has he been playing recently? I think he's missed the last few, has he not? So I think I would start Cancelo. Came off the bench last game. Yeah, I think I'd go Cancelo. So I'd go Digne, Trent, Cancelo out of that 5. Tango says he's got 7.2 mil in the bank. If you've got 7.2 mil and you're looking for who to spend it on, I would say Zaha's the top pick. Coutinho and Maddison, good picks as well. In fact, maybe Maddison's out of reach, but yeah, I'll say Zaha. Oscar says, what do you think of Pickford captain? I don't. Oh, it's a very bold on that. I don't think I'd captain a goalkeeper in a double game week. I say that early this season I did captain De Gea in a double game week, but he was my only option. I literally had no one else to go for in the double. It didn't go too badly actually, but could have gone better. Now I think you're far better off captaining an outfield player, and I think most people have got a decent outfield double gaming option that they could captain ahead of Pickford. Skip Maestro says, will Robbo start? This is a really hard one because last night he did come off with cramp in the FA Cup final, and Tsimikas came on, and also Tsimikas scored the winning penalty. So he deserves a start, doesn't he? So does Tsimikas get the nod for Gameweek 37? Klopp said that the quadruple is out of his hands because he's going to have to make changes for this game. So what are those changes going to be? Maybe Tsimikas comes in, maybe Gomez comes in. I imagine the front three could be something like Jota, Mane, Diaz. Maybe Firmino comes in. I think there'll be quite a few changes. But it's really hard to predict. It's really, really hard to say how they line up. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if Tsimikas gets a game. But likewise with Chelsea, it's really hard to predict Chelsea. It wouldn't surprise me if James or Alonso get benched as well. Pranash says, hey Oscar, who would you have on a free hit? Maddison or Jota? And Kane or Vardy? I would chase the upside, Maddison and Vardy. All day. You know, they double. That's what I would do. They're both projected to do better than the single game makers, so logically I would go for them. Let's have a look at who the most transferred players are this week, heading into Gameweek 37. The live numbers are as follows. Son is the most transferred in, 408,000 have picked him up. It's incredibly close beyond that. Richarlison, Zaha and De Bruyne all tied on about 365k transfers in. Danny Ings is up there, Nketiah is up there, Cash. No surprise really to see Son and KDB up there now off the back of this Salah injury, because those are the two obvious replacements. Those of you who have Salah, who have you replaced him with? Son or KDB or someone else? Vardy's up there as well. Kane's up there. Maddison, Coutinho. Pretty much all double game because most transferred out is as follows. Salah, 760k. I've got rid of Salah. 486,000 have sold Dennis, Laporte, Havertz, Mount, Saka, Jesus, Ronaldo, Watkins, Diaz. No surprises here. It sounds like Laporte could actually start this one, and he's the third most transferred out. Mount's one that could actually come back to bite them because Chelsea have two good home fixtures, and there is a 5-day rest between the FA Cup final yesterday and their double game week and their game week 37 fixture. Julia says Captain Vardy or Son. If I had to pick between those two, I'd go Vardy, but there's not much in it. I'd say Vardy though. Abedi says, hi Oscar, who would you start? Nketiah, Saka or Alonso? Any news on Digne possibly playing once this week? Nketiah, Saka or Alonso? I would start Saka out of those three. And any news on Digne possibly playing once? There's no news, or it's just speculation. You know, they've got Ashley Young, who is capable of playing in left back. And if you look at Digne's minutes this season, he has been a real troll for minutes and appearances. You know, like in and out of the side a lot. So it just wouldn't surprise me at all if Ashley Young did get a game. But I think Digne is a very good pick for this double. 5 mil, on set pieces, taking corners, etc. I think Digne is a very good pick. I could afford to get Cash, so I ended up just going for Cash, who you would say is probably the safer pick. In fact, I think Cash has started every game this season. Nicola says, I've got a bench boost and a free hit left. Would you play the free hit now or in Gameweek 38? Wow, still got 2 chips left for the final 2 weeks. I think I would free hit now. Because it's a double game week and therefore using it now has more upside. Right, so I would use the free hit now and bench boost 38. But it's not ideal to be bench boosting Gameweek 38 because historically it's a very unpredictable game week in terms of clean sheets, rotation. You know, for a lot of teams, they've got nothing left to play for and the league is wrapped up, so it's an opportunity to give the youngsters some minutes. But that's what I would do. I think it makes sense to free hit now. What do you guys in chat think? I think you have to free hit now because it's a double game week, right? Andreas, thanks for renewing the membership for 6 months. He says bench one of Brownhill, Reese and Robbo. I think I'd probably bench Robbo. But, you know, Brownhill, what are we going to get from him? He has surprised us recently, to be fair. He's had a couple of attacking returns. But, it's not great playing Brownhill. But, yeah, I think I'd start Brownhill. Not much in that one. Bondi and Brett reckon free hit now, not 38. Johanna says, just came to the stream, what to do with Salah. I've sold him for Son. If you've got Salah, I think you sell him for Son or KDB. Yeah, those are the 2 obvious replacements. That's what I would do. I don't think there's many people that have both already, so it's quite an easy switch. Oh, you can see the edge of the green screen. There we go. That's better. Keep the questions coming in. Thanks so much for tuning into the stream. If you are enjoying it, do hit like on it. We'll try and get 500 likes by the deadline. So there's 1,100 watching now. So if you hit like, we'll be well on our way. Ali says, Sadio Mane captain. I don't think I'd go Mane captain, but let's take a look at the predicted points because I think it's a good opportunity to discuss the captains. This week, Richarlison's top. This is FPL Review's predicted points. Not much in it though. Zaha's second with 8.1 predicted points. Ings is just behind Zaha with 8. Arguably, Ings could actually be higher on this because it just depends on the predicted minutes. He's predicted to get, on average, 66 across each game. So, what's that? 132 minutes. Could realistically be more because Watkins is only just back from injury. But could be about right. Martinez is up there, Pickford. I wouldn't be captaining the goalkeepers. Coutinho. I think Richarlison and Zaha are standouts, but you could back Son, who's the most informed player right now. I think those are the top 3, in my opinion. I probably wouldn't go for Mane. And after all, Mane did play 120 minutes in the FA Cup last night. Andreas says, surely Ings deserves higher expected minutes. Yeah, you could make the case that it should be more than 66 on average. I suppose you could also make the case that Ings could have come off for Watkins in the first game. Could happen in the second game as well. But yeah, maybe it's a little bit low. Could be higher than that. But yeah, I think Ings is an awesome pick for this week. The really annoying thing about Aston Villa is that they play Man City in Gameweek 38. So these great picks for this week, like Ings, like Cash, and then you get to Gameweek 38 and you're starting them against Man City and it's not ideal. So I'm probably going to have to take a -4 in Gameweek 38 to set up a better team, which I hate doing. I hate Gameweek 38 hits because you've only got 1 week for it to be repaid. Camo says, would you start Mikalenko or Trent? Mikalenko. Pep 2's going Ings, captain, Richarlison, vice captain. In fact, yeah, this is a good opportunity. We'll do a captain poll. We'll redo it because the one on the Discord was done before the FA Cup final. So that means that the results were a bit outdated because some people went for Salah. I made this morning, so I'll chuck it in the chat. And then there's the poll. Everyone go hit that link and then vote on the poll and have a look at the results. Mark, thanks for the donation. He says, I'm 4 points ahead in the mini league. I'm taking a -4 for KDB, Cash and Richarlison for Laporte, Salah and Pukki. Do I stop or bring in Digne or Zaha for Mount and Doherty as well? So those 3 moves are really, really good moves. I think those are all upgrades across the board, as long as you don't get to Gameweek 38 and you're starting Cash against Man City. Wow, interesting results. I don't think I would get rid of Mount as part of -8, and I don't think I would get rid of Doherty unless you've got a player that you don't want to be starting in your starting 11. Then you could make the case. But I think those 3 moves are really good. Presumably Doherty's just a bench fodder and you're not actually in a position where you're having to start Doherty. So I think those 3 moves are fine on their own mark. Interesting results. So Richarlison's top. Keep the votes coming. I'll chuck the links in the chat one more time. Son is second. Ings is third. 8% for other. If you went other, let me know in the chat who you voted for. Evidently there's a few players I forgot there. Zaha's climbing. A few votes for Cash, Coutinho, De Bruyne. Mohit says he's got 1.2 mil on the bank and he wants to get rid of Livramento or Brownhill options. How much is Livramento right now? Like 4.3? If you haven't got a Villa defender, then I would do Livramento to Cash or Digne. I think that's probably the best option you've got, Mohit. You could do Brownhill to Gordon or something like that, but I think I like the Villa defender route more. So that's what I would do. Livramento to Cash if you can afford it, if not Digne. As we saw on the predicted points, the Villa defenders are well up there. So don't be afraid to take a -4 for a Villa defender. If you've got someone in your starting 11 that you're not particularly keen on. In my case, I only had 3 defenders this week because Doherty's out and Saiss is an injury doubt. So in my case, if Trent or James didn't play, I'm down to 10 men. So it made perfect sense for me to grab Cash. So that's who I picked up personally, Matty Cash. Russell, thanks for the donation. He says he's done Salah and Pukki to Kane and Zaha, -4. Good moves like that. With Trent, Robbo and Laporte, take hits for a Villa defender and even Foster to Pickford from -12. You've got Ramsdale, Nketiah, Davies, Dewsbury Hall on the bench. Which Liverpool defender to drop? I think I would drop Robbo. In terms of taking hits for a Villa defender, difficult one. Who's your 5th defender? Because Davies is a decent pick, I have to say. Davies, Burnley at home, Norwich in 38. He's alright. You don't really want to get rid of him. So it's just what to do with the other defenders. Trent, Robbo and Laporte, you want to keep them. So you don't want to take a hit to get rid of one of them for a Villa defender. Because realistically, you want to have all 3 of those for 38. I'd say Trent or Robbo could get rotated this week. There's a rotation risk there. But 38, you want to have them. So it just depends on who your 5th defender is. I think you could make the case for selling your 5th defender, whoever that is, for a Villa defender. But I wouldn't do anything more than a -8. I think the moves you've made are good in isolation anyway, and I don't think you need to take a -8. You know, not the end of the world if Davies comes off your bench, but if you've got a 5th defender that you're happy to get rid of, I think it's perfectly okay to take an extra hit and then bench Robertson for a Villa defender. Hope that makes sense. Cancelo. I think you could make the case for going Laporte to Cash. I would consider that one because you've got Cancelo. And this season, to be fair, West Ham are yet to blank at home. So I think it's going to be a tough game for City. Missing a couple of defenders, even if Laporte is back for this one. We don't know if Laporte starts or not either. Could be Ake that starts centre-back. Who knows? So I think you can make the case for going Laporte to cash, but it's one of those really. It's a bit of a coin toss. I think you're okay not to make that move, but I quite like the move myself. I think it's the last good opportunity to take a punt, Russell. So that's what I would consider, considering you still got Cancelo, so you still got coverage from the Man City defence. Max says Salah and Pookie for Kane and Zaha. Yeah, love it. Two great moves. I think that's going to be a popular combination this week. A lot of people, presumably you do, Max. I can't remember your team now. You've got Son already, so you either go to Salah to KDB, or you get in a double Gameweek player like Zaha, and then you move it forward up to Kane. And I really like those two moves because you're bringing in two players that are good for this week and also good for 38. You know, Palace at home to Man United in 38. Wouldn't at all surprise me if Palace win that, if Zaha gets something. Good moves, Max. Do it. We've got about half an hour till the deadline. Keep the questions coming. Thank you all for tuning in so far. We're up to 235 likes, so if you have enjoyed the stream so far and the content I prepared for it, please do hit like. It takes 2 seconds and it supports the stream and the algorithm and so on. Q apparently says, help Kane and Gordon to Vardy and Maddison. I'm on a free hit. Is it worth it? On a one-wing punt, yeah, I think Vardy makes sense ahead of Kane. Let's check if we've got any Leicester news or not. We're going to keep checking up until the deadline in case we get any early news on how Leicester line up. Nothing yet. Sam Martin's the go-to guy for any Leicester leaks, but he's not tweeted anything yet about how Leicester may line up. No Palace leaks yet either. If I get anything, I'll let you guys know. I think I probably would have Vardy ahead of Kane on a free hit. It just makes sense because of the double. It's just a bit of a gamble on Vardy starting or not, but I think he probably does. Dimitri says, is the bench boost worth a -8 getting Zaha, Jansen and Richarlison? Jansen? Is that from Brentford? Is he a defender? Yeah, he's 4.4 mil. You may as well just get a double Gameweek defender over Jansen. Like, Holgate is 4.2 mil. And I imagine he starts both in the Everton double. But yeah, it's worth a -8. Look at last game week. Lots of people were taking -8s, -12s, -16s for the bench boost. Realistically, is your bench really going to outscore the hit by that much? Probably not, but it's worth it because you want to set yourself up. But I don't know who you're selling, Dimitri, so it's hard to say. But Zaha's a very, very good pick. Richarlison's a very, very good pick for this week. Jansen, no, I wouldn't say so, but I would just get another double Gameweek defender. Holgate's 4.2 mil, I think, so he's cheaper than Jansen, and he doubles. Trying to think of any others. I think the Palace defenders are 4.5 and above, so presumably you can't afford those. So I think Holgate. Jar says Digne or Mings, and which two do I play out of James, Alonso, Kulusevski? I think Digne. For me, Digne is just such a troll this season. Luckily, I've not owned him at any point, but I've witnessed the suffering of many FPL managers, Digne. And he's just in and out of the side. He picks up these random injuries. Ashley Young gets a game here and there. So Mings is the safer pick, basically. Digne is the more exciting pick, but that slight rotation risk, you know, does Ashley Young get one game or not? So I was actually considering Mings, but I ended up taking a different route with my transfers. But I was personally going for Mings over Digne because I just didn't trust Digne to start both, whereas Mings does. And to be fair, trying to remember the numbers, I think Mings has 3.5 points per match this season, and Digne has 2.7 points per match. Mings has more attacking returns. I know he's got more minutes, but yeah, I think Mings over Digne, but that's just me playing a bit safe. Digne is definitely the more exciting pick with more upside. Takes corners, takes some free kicks. Right, let's check if we got any news coming in or not. I'll keep refreshing in case we get any leaks or pre-deadline news or whatnot. Check that. Nothing there. Nothing from Sam Martin. Lots of people discussing the Liverpool lineup. God, I hope it's not that lineup. It's not a leak, by the way. It's just a prediction. But they've got Gomez and Tsimikas in fullback. I think we've seen that once before this season, and that's it. The thing is, Klopp said a few games ago that he wanted to play Tsimikas, but it would have meant making 3 changes to the back 4, and he didn't want to do that because it's too much of a shake-up. So does Tsimikas come in? If he does Gomez come in? Perhaps not, because Konate presumably comes in with Matip because Van Dijk is out. So that would be 3 changes if those players all come in. Dimitri says Zaha for Mount or Coutinho. Oh, definitely Mount. I mean, Coutinho's got a double. It'd be crazy to sell Coutinho this week. Yeah, between those, has to be Mount. Richarlison for triple captaincy or Gameweek 38, what do you think? I think you have to use it now on a double game week. It just makes sense. Richarlison's predicted points this week will be higher than any players in Gameweek 38 because he's got the double. So I think you go Richarlison triple captain if you still got it. Presumably you had another chip to use last game week because I would have used it last week. Not that I'm one to talk. I used mine on Salah in Gameweek 36 and that was one of my most brutal chip usages ever. But not my worst. A few seasons before that I used it on Mane in that infamous double game week where Mane went off injured about 20 minutes in and he missed the second of the double. 3 points. Keep the questions coming in. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. We've got 1,300 tuned in. Appreciate you all being here. 20 minutes till the deadline. For anyone that missed it, my moves this week is I went Salah to Son, Kulusevski to Zaha, and Saiz to Cash. It is a -8, which I hate. It's my second -8 of the season, but I think it's justified. I have to sell Salah, and really I had to get Cash in because otherwise, if Trent or James miss this game week, I'm down to 10 men, assuming that Saiz isn't back in time. So therefore I had to go a defender to Cash, and then I thought I probably should make a third move like Zaha for Kulusevski, because then I'm not tripled up on Spurs. Aziz says Vardy or Richarlison captain. I think Richarlison, he's my captain. Zaha vice. I think Richarlison and Zaha are the 2 best this week. In fact, Danny Ings as well I'd throw in there as well. I don't know where this talk of Danny Ings being ill, not Danny Ings, Dina's being ill's come from. I've not heard anything. There's nothing on Reddit. I haven't seen anything on Twitter, so we'll keep checking for last minute news, but until I actually see anything from a reliable source, we'll just call that trolling for now. We'll have to see though. But it wouldn't surprise me either. Like I said, Dina's been a complete troll this season. Tom Hill says no Vardy party. No, I didn't have room for him, annoyingly. I had no room. I really wanted Danny Ings as well. Danny Ings was in one of my transfer plans, but it meant sacrifices elsewhere that I didn't really want to make. Like going for Mings instead of Cash in defence. Zachary says Vardy news, Palace news. Let's have a look. I don't think so yet. I checked it about 5 minutes ago. I don't know if we'll get anything pre-deadline, to be honest, but we'll have a look. Palace lineup, nothing there. Leicester, nah, no Leicester news either. We'll keep checking it up until the deadline, just in case of any last-minute news on the Leicester lineup and the Crystal Palace lineup. Those are the 2 I think we're likeliest to get, but we'll keep checking on Twitter for any other leaks as well. Kelvin says Son or Anderson on a free hit. Son all day. Brian says Zaha or Maddison better pick. Zaha in my opinion. Tunji says Mikalenko or Cash. Cash. Zachary says Guaita's dishing me pain. You should have tuned into the last deadline stream, Zachary. We had the early Crystal Palace lineup leaked, and Guaita obviously not in the starting 11. But yeah, I do feel for Guaita owners. Didn't expect him to miss the last game, and I don't think there was any news pre-deadline, so that was an unexpected one. One thing I wanted to very quickly take a look at is the FPL players, sorry, the Premier League players FPL mini league. It's a virtual mini league from fplbot.app, and James Justin's having another really good season. He's 36k at the moment. Interestingly, Saka's second, and Saka started this season in Gameweek 2. He actually didn't make a team in Gameweek 1. He started late, but he's still second among all Premier League players. The Leicester guys seem to know what they're doing. Chowdhury's up there, Maddison, Albrighton. But beyond that, not great. Foster is 3.8 mil. Odegaard is 3 mil. Nketiah is 5.7 mil. He went up a little bit. Rock bottom is, of course, Maguire, because he deleted his team. You're in the bathroom during the deadline, you missed everything. Oh, nightmare, mate. You'll have to just take your phone with you and then watch the stream in the bathroom. Has anyone ever done that? Watched a stream or like a football match in the bath or anything like that? I have to admit, I've watched football matches in the bath before. Because I play football on Wednesdays, so sometimes I'll get in from football and there's Champions League football on, so sometimes I'll just stick the laptop on at the end of the bath, stick the footy on, BT Sport. Did I miss a super chat there? Where was it? Johnny says 2 things. Hold Mahrez, and then would you go for Salah to De Bruyne or Salah to Zaha, and then Vardy, Ings, Richarlison? I'd be very tempted to get rid of Mahrez for Zaha. I think he's probably the standout replacement in midfield. But if you've got Salah, then that's an even more pressing transfer. I assume you've got Son already. I think he's the best Salah replacement. But if you've got Salah, you definitely get rid. It depends who your forwards are as well, Johnny. Because what a lot of people are doing is Son to Zaha and then upgrade a forward like Pookie to Vardy, Ings, Richarlison. I'd be very tempted to do the Zaha and then one off Richarlison or Ings move. That's probably where I would go. Salah down to Zaha and then a forward up to Ings or Richarlison. And that's assuming that you've got Son already. That's what I would go. You could alternatively go for Kane instead if you just want, a solid player who's got 2 good fixtures to win the season. But I think Ings and Richarlison are good picks for the final 2. Max says bench 3 of Mount, Saka, James, Kulu, Royal and Nketiah. I would bench Kulu, I would bench Royal, and the third, I think Nketiah. Oh, it's hard to say. It's really hard to predict how Arsenal do. I don't think it's going to be an easy game away at Newcastle. It's between Nketiah and Mount. Maybe Mount because he played 120 last night. Ben says, is Mitchell starting over Ward? Also -4 for Ramsey to Gordon. I've already brought in Richarlison. If it's your starting 11, then I would say yes, it's worth the -4. Just because I'm not sure if Ramsey starts both or not. I think it's a justified -4. Because, if I was to guess, I would say Ramsey misses 1 game. Maybe starts the Burnley game and on the bench for the Palace game. Is Mitchell starting? I'm not sure. I haven't had any Palace news. No Palace leaks or anything like that. So it's hard to say. What I can say is that he came off the bench last game and missed 2 before that. So perhaps he's on his way back to the starting 11, but it's really, really hard to say. If I was to guess, I would say yes, he starts. But don't have any leaks, so hard to say. McGee, thank you for the donation as well. There's no message, but thank you for that. Appreciate that. Rutger says, why no Ings? I couldn't find a route to get Ings in, basically. I did consider Pookie up to Ings, Salah to Son, but then I had to get someone like Mings instead of Cash. And I just wasn't sure if it was worth it or not. And it kind of left me in a worse position in Gameweek 38. So Yeah, I've gone for Zaha over Ings, basically. Zaha has a better Game Week 38 fixture, while Ings has Man City away. Farhan says he's on a bench boost. Salah, 8 Nori, Watkins to Kane, Cash and Diaz from -8. I think those are 3 good moves. I prefer Zaha over Diaz personally, but I think Diaz is a very good pick. Kane and Cash make perfect sense. So Kane and Cash, yes. Diaz, maybe you could make the case for someone like Zaha instead if you don't own him. But I think Diaz is a good pick. Yeah, good moves, Farhan. Go for it. Drew Fandela says Vardy or Ings captain on a free hit 37. I think Ings between those two. I think Ings is a really, really good captaincy option this week. That's where I would go. If I could find a route to Ings, he'd be my captain this week. Zia says, is Cash worth -8? It depends who you're selling, but I think probably not. But it depends who you're selling. If you're making a -8 just for Cash, then no. I did a -8 this week, which included Cash, but it was slightly different because I needed a defender, but I also needed to get rid of Salah. And I also needed to get rid of a Spurs player to fit Son in. So, for me, the -8 was worth it, but it wasn't exclusively for Cash. It was to get rid of Salah for Son, etc. Stipe says, will Watkins play? So he is back from injury, and Gerrard said that he hopes he'll train yesterday ahead of today's game. If I was to guess, I would say he's on the bench for Palace and starts for Burnley, but hard to predict. And that's how I've seen the lineups predicted for this game week for Villa. Watkins on the bench in the first one, starts the second. Not out of the question that he's perfectly fine and starts both though. We have seen Gerrard playing them both up top together, so we could see that. Roshan says, is Kulu starting? Not sure on Kulu. You would imagine, yes, he is, if he's available, but no way of knowing. There was a rumour going around that he was ill, but it wasn't a reliable source, so I can't vouch for how reliable or not that was. But I'll keep refreshing in case we get any last-minute leaks or news. It also wouldn't surprise me if it's just a made-up rumour from an account looking to get lots of likes. The account had something like 25k followers, so they weren't small, but there was no one else reporting Kulu ill, so you know, maybe they've got an inside source that they shouldn't have shared, or they just made it up. Mitch Stone says, hello mate, got the elusive grey arrow in Gameweek 36 to stick around 2k, very nice rank. For this week, bench one of Saka, Gordon or Watkins. I think you have to bench Saka, because there is still a chance that Watkins starts both, and I think you'd just kick yourself if you bench Watkins and he's in the starting 11 today against Palace, which is not out of the question. It's certainly possible. So I think you have to bench Saka and start Watkins. Awesome rank. Hugo says Coutinho or Zaha. Between those two, Zaha for me. O says who to triple captain. So these are the predicted points for Gameweek 37. Richarlison's top with 8.5 predicted points. Zaha is close in second, so's Ings. It is largely dependent on minutes. I imagine Richarlison actually gets more than 77 per game. And perhaps Ings gets more than 66 per game on average, perhaps not. But those are the top predicted points for Gameweek 37. That's from FPL Review. James says, have you used your last free hit yet? Yes, I have. Yeah, I've used it. If I still had it, I would definitely be using it this week. I don't think it's worth saving it for 38. If you still got your free hit, I think you have to use it this game week. I did post a free hit video yesterday if anyone's interested and haven't seen that. The free hit draft yesterday did have Salah in. It was made before the FA Cup final, but the rest of the picks in that video are still perfectly fine. And all I would do is just sub Salah for KDB in that draft. Carlos Mick is currently on the bench boost, already made Son, Richarlison and Digne in from -8. Would you take Another hit for Pookie and Laporte out for Ings and Holgate. Captain. Ings captain. Or bench boost Pookie and Laporte. I don't think I would take another -8. No, it's not worth it. A -16 just a bench boost. I don't think it's worth it. I would bench boost Pookie and Laporte. You imagine they both start, so it's not like you've got a dilemma where you've got players that aren't even playing. You know, then it's more of a decision, but I don't think it's worth a -8. Or in your case, in total, a -16. You know, realistically, what's your bench going to score this week? 16 it might score. So basically break even. Don't think it's worth it. Habisha says Richarlison 1 yellow away. Captain. So now, after Gameweek 32, it's 15 yellows for suspension. So Richarlison's not 1 away. He's 6 away. So he's not going to get a suspension for yellows this season. So don't worry about that in terms of captaincy and whatnot. Tango says, how did you make your FPL look different on the website? It's a browser add-on called... What's it called? Stylus. The CSS is partly I wrote some of it myself, and partly it's from someone called Simon, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I think it's called Modern FPL. If you search that on Google, it might come up. It's called Modern FPL. I've got a background in IT, so basically I tweaked some of the CSS because it looks a lot cleaner for you guys watching the stream. Otherwise it looks like that, and obviously that just doesn't look nearly as good for the stream. So yeah, I've tweaked it and that's how it looks now, which I think looks a lot cleaner. Oh, Yanata says red card incoming for Richarlison. I bloody hope not. I'll tell you what, that'd be very upsetting. That'd be a very upsetting end to the season. Ruben says Ramsey or Saka. I think Saka. Patrick says Captain Ings or Rich. If I had both, I'd go Ings. John King says hi mate, Maddison or Jota on a free hit. I think Maddison. He's got the double game week. I think it makes sense to go Maddison over Jota. Still no news on Palace. I don't think we're going to get any Palace news now. Anything from Sam Martin? No. Nothing from Sam. He says there's nothing at this point. We'll keep refreshing it. There's 5 minutes till the deadline, but yeah, I'm not sure if we'll get any leaks before the deadline or not. Interesting one from Spurs Lion that says Cooley starts against Burnley. But they've only got, what, 2,200 followers, so I don't know their reliability either, to be honest. Dazzler says Saka to Zaha from -4. Oh, don't know about that one. I think Zaha's a great pick, but I don't know if I'd want to sell Saka for a -4. Baskar says Mika and Maddie for a -8. It depends who you're selling. They're both good picks. Mikalenko especially. Maddison's a good pick too. I think I would rate, this week I would rate Zaha ahead of him and Coutinho, just for this week. Obviously this week they announced that Coutinho signed a permanent transfer from Barcelona to Villa. So hopefully off the back of that positive news he gets us something. Amir says Coutinho or Ings. I would say Ings, personally. I think Ings is an awesome differential this week, not in many teams. Really, really low ownership. Before this game week, 0.16% owned in the top 10k. Certainly it's going to be a lot higher this week with people using the free hits and whatnot, but yeah, I think Ings is an awesome pick. Keep the questions coming. We've got a couple of minutes till the deadline. Mad says, does Mateta start? No news on Palace, unfortunately. I was checking it just now, but nothing on Crystal Palace, annoyingly. No news. Captain Ings or Rich? If I had both, I would go for Ings. Mount for Zaha from -12. Nah, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think I'd take a -12 for that. I would just stick with Mount. Vardy worth a punt? Yeah, definitely worth a punt. Is Watkins playing? We don't know. No, not sure on the Villa lineup. Yesterday, Gerard said that he hopes that he'll be back in training today, and if he is, then he's available. That's all we know. James Ulmer tip to start. I think I'd go James. Significantly more upside with James. So I think you have to back the upside, which James has. For me, it's between benching Trent or James. It's really hard to say what their minutes will look like this week. Obviously, both players played 120 minutes last night in the FA Cup final. So it's hard to say. Maybe Tsimikas gets a start in left back, so maybe Klopp doesn't want to change both full backs. I think he's done that once this season. And obviously he's already got Van Dijk out by the looks of it, so there's going to be a change at centre-back too. Abedi Vlog says, why are you starting Dubravka ahead of Ramsdale? Presumably Ramsdale's got better clean sheet odds. Must be about even, if anything. Arsenal 36% chance, Newcastle 19% chance. Yeah, I'm just backing the clean sheet odds there. Not much to separate them. Bondi says bench 2 of Saka, Kulu, Collins or Weghorst. I would bench Weghorst and Kulu. Oh, that's a difficult one. Not much time to think about that one. A minute till the deadline. I think Weghorst and Kulu. Yeah, Burnley are in trouble. You know, if they've got me and Tarkowski out, they're going to have to dig so deep to keep clean sheets in this double. But we've seen them do it time and time again. Onska says locked. That's it. I think that is the deadline. We made it. Thank you so much, everyone that has tuned into this stream. Before you do go, please do like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Lock says Roz. Nazarol says lock. Julian says deadline. That's it. We made it. So yeah, if anyone missed it, my moves this week was Salah to Son, Saiz to Cash, and then Kulusevski to Zaha. Those are my 3 moves. Very briefly, we forgot to look at the kings of the game week. There was so much to discuss today that we missed it. Who do we think is going to be the king in Gameweek 37? It was De Bruyne who joined the kings in Gameweek 36 with his 30-pointer, which was the biggest score of the season. 2 slots left. Who joins in 37? Ings, Richarlison, Cash, Vardy. We'll have to see. Anyway, let's have a look if there's anyone we can raid before I go. I won't be able to stick around for much longer today because I'm heading into London after this stream. But let's see who's live, if there's anyone we can head over to and say hello. Let's see. FPL, live. Should we go over to Dylan, RCM? Bernardo says Zaha for the Kings of the Game Week. Kelzang reckons it's Barnes. Michael and Julian reckon it's Pickford. We'll head over to Dylan, RCM stream.
In terms of your normal team, it's Ings. Yeah, Captain Ings, good luck, mate. Good luck. Captain Son or Ings. I would have probably gone for Ings just about.
Everyone head over to that stream. I'll be over there. Tell him Focal sent you. Enjoy the game week, everyone. Enjoy the weekend, or what's left of it. And I'll see you soon for the next one. Focal out.